In the heart of a vast, frost-kissed forest, where ancient pines stretched their gnarled branches toward a pale winter sky, a gentle silence reigned. The forest floor was blanketed with a thick layer of untouched snow, each flake sparkling under the soft light of a low-hanging sun. The air was crisp, and every sound, no matter how slight, seemed amplified in the stillness of the winter morning. Among the towering trees, a small puppy named Scout bounded along a winding trail, his every step leaving delicate prints on the pristine snow. Scout was a bundle of energy and curiosity, with bright, expressive eyes that mirrored the wonder of the world around him. His soft, floppy ears bounced with each joyful leap, and his playful barks punctuated the serene quiet with moments of exuberance. As he trotted deeper into the forest, Scout's attention was caught by the subtle, almost imperceptible sounds that whispered through the trees, the rustle of a gentle breeze, the crackle of ice underfoot, and, most curiously, a faint, sorrowful whimper that seemed to be carried on the wind. With his heart filled with an instinctive desire to understand and help, Scout tilted his head, trying to pinpoint the source of this unusual sound. Drawn by an inner compass that guided him toward those in need, Scout carefully veered off the familiar trail. His small paws patted softly over the snow as he followed the gentle, plaintive calls. The deeper he ventured, the quieter the forest became, as if nature itself was holding its breath in anticipation of what was to come. After a few moments of cautious exploration, Scout arrived at a secluded glen where the snow was undisturbed, and the trees formed a natural shelter overhead. There, tucked beneath a fallen log partially covered in frosted moss, he discovered a small, trembling figure, a lone wolf cub. The cub's fur, a mix of grays and silvery tones, blended almost seamlessly with the wintry landscape, yet his wide, fearful eyes shone with unmistakable vulnerability. The wolf cub, named Ash by those who might later learn of his tale, appeared lost and isolated, his soft whimpers echoing the chill of the encroaching dusk. Alone in a forest that could be both beautiful and brutal, Ash had clearly strayed from his pack, left to face the biting cold and the daunting expanse of the wild. His slight body trembled not only from the cold but also from the deep loneliness that accompanies being separated from those who provide warmth and protection. For a long, suspended moment, time seemed to slow down as Scout and Ash regarded one another in the quiet glen. The puppy, with his warm, curious eyes and open heart, saw in Ash not a stranger, but a kindred spirit in need of friendship. At the same time, the wolf cub's wary gaze softened ever so slightly at the sight of the small creature approaching without malice, a beacon of unexpected kindness amid the desolation of winter. In that silent exchange, the forest itself seemed to exhale a gentle sigh, acknowledging that this was no ordinary encounter. The delicate interplay of light, sound, and emotion set the stage for a bond that would soon prove to be a lifeline in the harsh, unforgiving cold. As the sun continued its slow journey across the sky, casting long, slanting shadows on the snowy ground, the first chapter of their extraordinary friendship began to unfold, a story of compassion emerging from the silent whispers of the forest. As the soft light of the wintry morning deepened into a crisp day, Scout's heart beat steadily with both curiosity and determination. Standing at the edge of the secluded glen, he regarded the trembling wolf cub Ash, who remained hidden beneath the fallen log. The quiet rustle of the cold wind mingled with Ash's gentle whimpers, forming a delicate chorus that pulled at Scout's compassionate spirit. Slowly, Scout inched forward, his small, padded paws crunching softly on the fresh snow. Every step was measured and gentle, as if he were afraid that even the slightest misstep might frighten the lonely cub further. With each careful stride, the puppy's bright eyes maintained a steady, reassuring gaze. It was as if he silently promised, "I'm here to help, you're not alone." Ash's eyes, wide and shimmering with a blend of fear and hope, darted between the approaching figure and the shadowy shelter of the fallen log. Though he instinctively wanted to shrink back into the cold isolation, something in Scout's gentle demeanor began to ease his tension. The puppy's body language, soft whines, a slowly wagging tail, and a quiet, inviting stance spoke volumes about trust and kindness, despite the differences between their worlds. At the precise moment when the distance between them closed to mere inches, a hushed stillness settled over the glen. Scout lowered his head in a friendly gesture, as if to mimic a respectful bow. His eyes, warm and earnest, met Ash's uncertain gaze, and in that brief, silent exchange, a fragile connection was born. It was a moment when the natural instincts of a wild cub and the simple, unconditional love of a puppy converged, dissolving boundaries that nature had long imposed. Encouraged by this tender display of goodwill, Ash cautiously emerged from beneath the log. His soft, silver fur glistened under the weak winter sunlight, and every movement he made was tentative, as though he were exploring a realm that was both new and, until now, unthinkable. The puppy stepped forward without haste, his presence radiating a soothing warmth that seemed to push back against the bitter chill of the forest. Together, in that quiet glen blanketed by snow and shadowed by ancient trees, the two unlikely companions took their first steps toward forging a bond. There was no need for words in this silent conversation, only the mutual understanding that in the midst of a harsh, cold world, a spark of kindness could kindle hope. Scout's unwavering approach and Ash's gradual acceptance set the stage for a friendship that promised to defy the conventional rules of the wild, heralding the start of an adventure where survival was intertwined with the strength of newfound companionship. In that profound moment of connection, the forest seemed to exhale, acknowledging the gentle merger of two solitary souls. The chill in the air was momentarily forgotten as the warmth of empathy bridged the gap between the playful puppy and the vulnerable wolf cub, leaving behind an indelible mark of trust that would guide them through the long, cold night ahead. As the sun began its slow descent, painting the wintry sky in hues of soft pink and lavender, Scout and Ash realized that the approaching night would bring with it an even harsher cold. The gentle glow of the late afternoon light highlighted the delicate frost forming on every branch and blade of grass, a clear reminder that they needed to find shelter before darkness fully descended. Scout, with his keen puppy instincts, sniffed the air and picked up the faint aroma of pine and damp earth mingled with the crispness of impending frost. His small body trembled slightly, not only from the chill of the air but also from the urgency of finding a safe haven. He glanced back at Ash, whose wary eyes revealed both trust and uncertainty, and knew that their survival depended on their quick action. The pair set off together, their tiny paw prints merging in the soft snow as they trotted along a winding path through the dense forest. The towering pines and firs, their branches heavy with ice, seemed to whisper guidance as they led the unlikely companions deeper into a secluded part of the woods. With every step, the forest revealed its quieter side, a place where the wild cacophony of nature softened into a peaceful murmur. The rustling of leaves, the distant gurgle of a hidden brook, and the steady crunch of snow beneath their feet created a rhythm that spoke of both caution and hope. After a while, Scout's sharp eyes caught sight of a promising structure in the distance, a small, moss-covered cave tucked at the base of a massive, ancient oak. The cave's entrance was partially obscured by a curtain of hanging icicles and frosted ferns, suggesting that it had long been a natural refuge from the relentless winter winds. With a determined bark that carried both reassurance and excitement, Scout led Ash toward the shelter. As they approached the cave, the temperature seemed to drop even further, making every movement a challenge. The rough bark of the oak loomed overhead like a protective guardian, and the entrance of the cave beckoned with the promise of warmth and safety. Inside, the space was cool and dimly lit by slivers of the fading daylight filtering through cracks in the rocky ceiling. The ground was strewn with soft pine needles and a thin layer of snow, offering a natural cushion against the cold, hard stone. Scout, without hesitation, settled himself near the entrance, curling up in a small, tight ball to conserve his body heat. Ash, still tentative from his earlier vulnerability, edged closer, drawn by the puppy's evident sense of security. The wolf cub's eyes, which had been wide with apprehension only moments before, now reflected a dawning realization that here, in this quiet refuge, he might finally find solace from the bitter chill. In the intimate darkness of the cave, the duo began to adjust to the quieter pace of shelter. Outside, the wind's fierce howls and the persistent patter of icy rain continued to drum against the forest, but inside, a sense of calm prevailed. The soft echoes of their breathing and the occasional, gentle whimper of reassurance filled the space, knitting together a fragile cocoon of safety. Together, they shared the limited warmth the cave offered. Scout's small frame radiated a comforting heat that, in its own humble way, seemed to push back the biting cold. Meanwhile, Ash, still weak from the cold and the hardships of his recent separation from his pack, found his resolve slowly returning. The comforting presence of the puppy was more than just physical warmth, it was a beacon of trust and companionship in a world that had, until now, felt overwhelmingly vast and unkind. As twilight deepened into night, the cave stood as a silent witness to their newfound bond, a safe haven carved out by nature and sealed by the kindness of two hearts. In that sheltered darkness, the puppy and the wolf cub drifted into a light, fitful sleep, their dreams mingling with the sounds of the forest. And as the icy winds continued to wail outside, inside the cave, a tender friendship took root, promising that together, they could brave even the coldest, darkest of nights. As the night deepened and the forest grew ever darker, Scout and Ash found that the safety of their cave was but a temporary refuge against the relentless fury of winter. Outside, the cold intensified into a swirling tempest of icy winds and driving snow, transforming the familiar woods into an alien, frozen landscape. Determined to survive the harshness of the night, the unlikely pair ventured out of the cave, knowing that braving these trials together was their only chance. The biting wind whipped through the trees, bending branches and scattering loose flakes in a frenzied dance. Every step on the slick, uneven ground became a battle against nature's icy grip. Scout, small but resolute, led the way as he carefully navigated a narrow path carved out by the wind. His tiny paws struggled to maintain traction on the slick snow, yet he pressed forward, his keen instincts guiding him through the blizzard's chaos. Beside him, Ash stumbled through the deep snow, his silvery fur flecked with ice crystals that sparkled like frozen stars. Though his legs trembled under the force of the cold, the wolf cub found strength in Scout's unwavering determination. At times, the snow piled high around them, obscuring the path ahead and forcing them to pause as they listened intently for any sign of danger or guidance from the forest. In the midst of the tempest, obstacles appeared unexpectedly. Large icicles, loosened by the relentless wind, tumbled from the branches above, crashing onto the frozen ground with a resounding echo that sent shivers through their bodies. At one particularly treacherous moment, a thick layer of ice transformed a gentle slope into a slick, perilous slide. With hearts pounding in unison, the duo had to muster all their courage. Scout barked softly to spur Ash onward, while Ash, summoning every ounce of resilience, carefully inched forward, his paws skidding against the glassy surface before finding secure footing. Nature, however, was not finished testing their resolve. As the storm raged on, a sudden gust of wind swept through the forest, nearly sweeping them off balance. Scout leaped forward instinctively, darting ahead to find a temporary haven, a small cluster of rocky outcrops that broke the wind's vicious assault. There, huddled together, they took a brief respite. The brief pause allowed them to catch their breath as the cold seeped into their bones, yet it also offered a moment of quiet reflection amidst the chaos. In that fragile silence, the mutual trust between the puppy and the cub shone brighter than ever. Reinvigorated by their short reprieve, they continued their journey through the storm. The forest around them was transformed into a dazzling display of nature's raw power. Snow swirled like confetti in the air, and every tree branch became adorned with a shimmering coat of frost. Even as the elements battered them, Scout's small, determined figure and Ash's resilient form pushed onward, each step a testament to their unyielding will to survive. Their trials of the night were punctuated by moments of quiet heroism. When the wind's howl threatened to separate them, Scout would nuzzle Ash, providing a silent reassurance that they would remain side by side. In return, Ash offered his protective presence, sometimes standing guard as Scout ventured to scout safer footing or a clearer path ahead. The adversity forged a powerful bond between them, one built not on shared origins but on the shared struggle to defy a night that sought to claim them. As the hours passed and the storm gradually began to wane, the relentless barrage of snow and wind started to ease. The forest, though still cloaked in winter's embrace, became less hostile, allowing faint trails of moonlight to pierce through the swirling clouds. Scout and Ash, exhausted yet undeterred, found themselves emerging from the heart of the tempest. Their bodies were chilled and weary, but the spark of hope in their eyes told a different story, a story of two brave souls who had faced the icy trials of the night together. In that moment, as the storm subsided into a hushed calm, the forest seemed to acknowledge their courage. The trials they had endured that long, bitter night were etched into every crunch of snow underfoot and every shared glance of determination. Their journey had not only tested their physical limits but had also forged an unbreakable bond, a promise that together, even the harshest winter could be met with warmth and resilience. Thus, as the first whispers of dawn began to soften the darkness, Scout and Ash pressed forward, ready to embrace whatever the new day might bring, united by their shared triumph over the icy night. As the first light of dawn crept over the horizon, the once raging storm began to yield to the tender embrace of morning. The relentless winds and swirling snow gave way to a quiet, almost reverent stillness. In the soft, pastel glow of early day, Scout and Ash emerged from their battered trek, their silhouettes outlined against a sky gradually brightening with hope. The forest, still cloaked in the remnants of the night's fury, now sparkled with dewdrops and delicate frost that shimmered in the new light. The biting cold had eased, replaced by a gentle warmth that caressed the frosted branches and softened the sharp edges of the wintry landscape. For the first time in hours, the two companions paused to appreciate the beauty of a day reborn, a canvas painted in soft hues of pink, gold, and pale blue. Together, they stepped out onto a clearing where the remnants of the night's struggle lay scattered like whispers in the snow. Every footprint told a story of perseverance, every trampled flake a testament to their shared journey. The wolf cub, Ash, with his silvery fur now glistening under the delicate sunlight, looked up at Scout with eyes that shone with gratitude and newfound strength. The little puppy, his fur slightly matted and his paws still bearing traces of the harsh night, wagged his tail gently, a silent celebration of survival and unity. In that serene morning, the forest itself seemed to welcome them. A chorus of birds began their soft, melodious songs, as if in praise of the bond that had blossomed amidst adversity. Gentle breezes carried the scent of pine and fresh earth, mingling with the subtle aroma of hope. The natural world, once an indifferent expanse of challenge and cold, now appeared transformed by the duo's journey, a quiet acknowledgement that even in the wild, compassion could kindle warmth where there was none. Scout and Ash began to explore their surroundings with a cautious excitement, each step a discovery of small wonders. They trotted along a path where the snow had melted into clear, trickling streams, the water sparkling as it danced over smooth stones. Delicate wildflowers, resilient in the fading frost, peeked from beneath the snow, their colors vibrant against the wintry backdrop. Every sight and sound seemed imbued with the promise of renewal, echoing the resilience that the two friends had found in each other. As they wandered through the rejuvenated forest, their silence was filled with unspoken gratitude. There was no need for words to capture the significance of what they had endured together. The shared hardship of the bitter, cold night had forged an unbreakable connection, a bond that transcended their natural differences and redefined what it meant to be companions in the wild. In the gentle warmth of the new day, Scout and Ash found not just shelter from the cold but also a profound understanding of each other. Their journey had been one of survival against the odds, a test of courage that had ultimately transformed fear into trust and loneliness into companionship. As the morning unfolded and the forest awakened in a symphony of life and color, the two unlikely friends moved forward side by side. Their footprints, now mingled in the soft earth, promised a future where the lessons of the past night would guide them, that even in the most daunting circumstances, kindness and unity could light the way to brighter days. And so, with the dawn as their witness, Scout and Ash embarked on the next chapter of their journey, one marked by the enduring power of a friendship that had been born in the cold and would forever warm their hearts.